Falcons these days, they're going to ask you those kind of questions, so you have to be prepared. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I think I'm you know, if I'm probably a Slytherin. I wear a lot of black or green. You know, I'm wearing that right now. Anyway, moral of the story: Leo's a Gryffindor because he's lovable and a bit dim. Falcons versus Fnatic. Now we have potentially a hotly contested sort of showdown here. I really enjoy seeing Consulate with good Consulate teams on it. I think that's a specific thing to say, but sometimes when you get two good teams, a map can peter out. Consulate, I still think, offers little windows of creativity, and these are two teams that enjoy this map.
I think it's a tough map. Tough map to play. You mentioned as well, like, good teams playing it. Yeah, it looks great, but see if it's teams who don't really know what they're doing, it can get messy really quickly. So you just hope that both these teams are going to be switched on. Look, Death said that Fnatic, love this map, more than happy to play it. Falcons haven't had the greatest track record, but knowing Falcons, they'll just play whatever they want, you know, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I always think Falcons are a team, no matter what the map is, whenever they're kind of in these regional matchups where they're against teams that they know that they're better at, which in this case is Fnatic. It's not as though Fnatic is one of the big four or, you know, even top six at the moment. You know, Fnatic, did they finish dead last? The last stage?
Must locate and defuse the bomb.
Did they finish dead? Or was that maybe the stage before? One of the times, you know, they're a team which has finished last place before, right? That's the kind of moral of the story. They're not a team that Falcon's going to look at the same way you look at Secret, you look at GT, you look at VP. And I think they're just going to think, we don't really care what we play them on. We'll just beat them.
Yeah, it's that sort of, I'm not going to say appearance, that drive to be able to get themselves into that situation of we can beat anybody. That idea is a mindset that the best teams in the world always have, and you always have to have. If you go into a game and you don't think or know that you can take it, then you're not going.
You have to stomp your National League, don't you? That's the way it works.
Yeah. And not to be untested, but to be put forward, and that's not the way they probably want to start. EFAC is gone. Jags with the early C4 swing out the window of the office. Unfortunately, work is closed today, and they're actually just going to soft it and pull back, maybe try and just leave the Mozzie to waste as much time as possible and say, look, you've got this locked down. There's a bit of a rumbling of a shield. I'm going to make sure I'm there because look what they've got there. Demo, Blitz, Ying, Lion, and the Deimos. This is really the 3-2-1, and here we go right into a smoke. So your option is to just push on through now. Gets the back of the player. Too much faith in a smoke. There's a second right round the back, and Falcons. Unbelievable tear all the way through the core of the site, and well, Jag's a little too late to help out fully, but does find Solotov. However, as Sarks tries to step in and offer some support, they've still got a position to take the fight, and Usus has the angle. Now they're into the default plant spot, and you've got Shaiko and Usus watching your cover. Are there any other names you would have in that situation? There's one. Beautifully taken, but there's also now a blitz, a Bree Day. Oh, tried a little trick there. Baited the flash, but it didn't quite net them anything other than almost a cool clip.
Yeah. Also, we didn't get to mention about the bans. So Fnatic have went for a Buck ban. Now, Buck is really good in Consulate, not just because the generic way you think, he's good for like garage takes, because he can go above and, you know, obviously use the verticality. But he's also really good for the top floor site because you can go into piano and start clearing out defenders from below. That's another big benefit for him. Now, if they're going to go down that line of thinking, right, for the top floor, we're going to play our defenders in these difficult positions that if you don't have the buff, it's really tough to deal with. But whenever you're leaving operators like Ying and stuff open, and then you're not playing into a Warden, it's a little bit mismanaged. A Warden in that corner beside the table, holding onto that window, is terrifying to deal with if you can't go below to remove him, which they couldn't. Buck's been banned. So they're doing the right thing in terms of how you'd want to play that, but then they're not bringing the correct operators. It just seems a little bit mismanaged. Or again, stop me anytime. Again, is this me being too harsh again? I don't know.
I mean, it's your job to offer sort of criticism. It's your job to point out things that go wrong, and then...
I've seen Wardens do damage from that position. You know,
Yeah.
Ying is, everyone knows that single window, prime real estate for your Grims and Earrings, yeah?
Oh, they love it.
Brilliant. So surely if that's like a common thing, like you know that's just the way teams play it, you'd want to have an operator who just sits in there. You can't really move. Warden would be perfect.
I like how there's almost, and I know Leo has done some SpongeBob memes before, EFAC dying on the other side alone is like the meme where he's looking out the window and seeing the others have fun on the other side of the
He
map.
died very quickly, did not.
He died very quickly.
Yeah.
Just Squidward looking out the rest of Falcons, just ravaging the top of the stairs on the yellow side. Here, though, obviously no early swipe to take the Solace to try and play against some of this potential approach, but oh, it's a fine line. Sarks is threading here against EFAC, and they might have almost been the first body gun again, but instead the fight doesn't come to anything as Falcons just getting rid of the step in the door utility.
Yeah, Falcons just doing their initial bit of probing around the site, and making sure that walls are going to be opened up, and then also seeing if they can target some players. And oh, Jegs has to sidestep that grenade, but Shaika wasn't holding on to the angle, but instead will use that drone again and push him back into that same position. But nobody really approaching Jegs from the other side. He's just sat here, and Jegs almost looking for the slip away and will try and go back into sight. Oh, and bait Shaika in for the swing, and Jegs collects that. Not only does he get the kill, he also gets back to sight, safe and sound.
Well, Sarks gets EFAC, and they are removed after the battle we saw almost happen, and Bride takes that as the sign to go as Usus gets cover on towards Deepak, and Sarks just keeps covering them in bullets now. As soon as they make some sound, or even before then, they're going to get caught out. Weren't as sneaky as they thought they were, and Solotov all alone in a 1 versus 4. No kit. Not a gun that's great in your prolonged engagements, and 2 C4s to try and face off against, as well as a full read on where you are. Not impossible, far from easy. Ready for the jiggle. There's 2 people stacked up either side. They just need to time this together and hope that they don't get caught in a straight line. And you can see the Solace was so excited about an engagement, but with a shotgun now prepped, ready to rock and roll, and so many red outlines.
Oh.
Gruby the one that gets caught. Might feel a little hard done by that he was swung on after the first 2 were missed. But here to his right, there's a second. Almost a third. It's Jax. Every corner, Fnatic.
Yeah, just a matter of time there, wasn't it? Gives them a couple of exits, but still, Fnatic win the round. Weird approach, though, coming in from Falcons. It seemed pretty disjointed. Players kind of dying solo, kind of one after another. Fnatic having a massive mad advantage. You know, it was a 1v4 at the end of it. Here's the thing. Falcons have brought in an operator like Dokkaebi, which, as we know, is just a great operator, top-tier operator, universal ability. Fantastic, yeah? Everyone knows that.
Yep.
Sometimes, if you are bringing in that operator, which you can kind of see as a bit of a crutch, you kind of lose some, like, basic stuff. Like, your basics of droning out the map. You just can get a little bit lazy, almost, and think, oh, the Dokkaebi call will solve that. Is that maybe what they kind of fell into? Don't forget, there's mute jammers being played as well. You know, it's... You can just stand with them, and then you don't hear the call, almost.
I think it's... Yeah, it's those sort of little moments, right, where you have expectations of how things are going to go. You almost could see it going differently if it's the first time those engagements or trust happens early on in a game versus later on in the game, right? Those sort of expectations of trust, of action, I think, especially around utility, almost develop as you get yourself sort of settled in the seat and start driving the car. And whether it's a teething problem or not, I think, but either way, up towards the top. And almost immediately back down. EFAC, tired of being spotted in an early engagement, has gone to the Nook to see if he can try and sneak in this time. But again, you look at that lineup demo of Falcons, and what do you expect to hear?
Well, you would expect the similar thing, isn't it, of the Ying pushing in with the shields, but Fnatic have somehow listened to me throughout the Void. They've caught the Warden now, which certainly they missed the last time, and look at the position he's in. tucked deep in towards that corner, right beside the window. Like I mentioned, he cannot be touched from below because that buck's been banned out. Unless maybe they try and send, you know, the Demo stand to track him. But I'm pretty sure Grubby also has a mute jammer, which he can stand on to stop that track from happening. So they've got everything covered right now for a very strong power position from Grubby. But look at Falcons, they're changing up their play. They're looking for these rat kills, and it's the Rat King himself, it's EFAC.
Well, I told you he was tired of being caught out, and this time he catches them. Jeg's gone. The 5-2 player is off the board, and that leaves, well, only really Sarks, somebody who's got on bodies this time, and the pressure is starting to explode on Groovy. Sarks does keep going. Gets rid of the Blackbeard. There is still another shield left to try and crack their way through, but that is at least the first taste destroyed, and Sarks being read at least the full read of Cam on towards Coffin Clarity. They are hoping for another engagement, but it's now about to start. You might be able to hide from cameras, but you cannot hide the sound of a rappel. There's the track on a player. Does the Nook know? No, it didn't matter. Ow. Fine margin. And an even better player, 4-2 suddenly in the blitz. Trying to come up spiral, surrounded, caught, swapping guns. Falcons yet again. A cascade of violence here over towards the CEO side. They don't need to focus on the plant for now, and Deepak is right in the middle of it. But the location is given away, and you can assume, well, got a trade, but I don't think they were long for this world either way.
Yeah, easy enough there for Falcons. EFAC, simple as that. he does what he does best. Him and that Nook, notorious for that operator, isn't he? He's just the way he creeps around, just looks for these openings. He's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. You're not going to get it. I think overall for Falcons, it's changed up that game plan. You know, last time they went just for the immediate rush, using the Ying, using the shields, pushing in through the skylight. That time they kind of looked at the setup and said, right, they've actually got the Warden. We can't go for it. We need to try and find another way through. And EFAC's like, say no more. I'll find us the pick. And he always seems to find the pick.
There it is. Just, I mean, a flip of the coin argument. And obviously, we could see that they had an idea someone was coming that way. We don't know how much the Nook knew, but enough, I guess, is the sort of straight answer of it. Beautifully put together, and 2-1, traded rounds, back and forth. But at this point, coming on towards the split site, Wizard was the sort of focus of a graphic coming in, and apparently that's a bit of a curse. Currently, they're not really doing any magic, but they might want to start summoning quicker than anything. But it's also, at the same time, Ruby not quite being able to get in on these. Usually, you know, a person who enjoys the chaos of a well-coordinated hold.
Yeah, big fan of the Grubster. He, again, has a really good head and the shoulders. I think, especially during that Malta event that we seen Fnatic at, where they kind of, you know, debuted Grubby almost. He almost came into the side, and he just helped them get up to speed with the meta. Because, again, Fnatic weren't a great place, I think, before Grubby joined, and then we've kind of seen them had a lot better success than where they were previously, like, no doubt about it. So, yeah, good head and the shoulders, but at the moment, just not getting the kills, which is strange because, you know, we know that guy can light up the scoreboard because he'd done that for years in secret.
Oh, yeah, it's just one of the sort of, you know, it's hard to put pressure on the players. I know we had this conversation on Bank as well, as we almost had the first engagement, but as the drone catches out, I mean, they're just going to want to take it, but Jegs kept on pre-firing and found the head of Solotov. Hasn't dropped off yet. Could have Wizard offering some support underneath as well, just giving the read on anyone that might try and put the pressure on here. The calls could come through. There's a lot that could track the player as well with the Jackal and the Grim even. But losing Solotov, losing some of that hard breach, it limits you in some ways. Depends if the exit had been gotten on secret side. Here though, Fnatic, they're sort of holding down. They have this man advantage. They have a couple of bits of damage, but it only takes a bullet to get a kill in this game, and EFAC is worried about being swung on. He isn't, but the narrow angle! How?
Oh my words. EFAC, just another cracking shot. And don't forget, this is the split bomb site, one that we don't see all too often. You can see Fnatic, knowing it's a split bomb site, we're always worried about the plant going down, because again, in this setup, you will just forfeit the top 4 bomb site, and you'll try and play your defenders in towards the basement. They've got the Valkyrie, they've got the Pulse, they've got tons of C4s to the left, ready to rip. That's their game plan. It's using the information and then playing with the denial that they have. Falcons will know this. I just want to see how Falcons are going to deal with that. How do you deal with all these C4s? Do you bait? Do you go for the kills? What's their game plan?
Well, with 40 seconds, there's got to be a plan that comes together against them as well. It's sort of that moment, right? They've got all these C4s, they've got this position, they're playing up from underneath, and as Deepak finds users and Bride goes for a plant, it's just hold out and hope. They moved off, and a C4 has popped off, but sort of for the end of it. Traded rounds here, Demo. We are back and forth between these two teams, and yes, Falcons have been off to strong starts on the top floor, but seemingly everywhere else is Fnatic's.
Yeah, I think certainly Falcons are kind of showing that it's not the greatest map for them, is it? Because even that round in itself, it's your split bomb site. Everyone knows what the defenders are going to do, because the defenders can only really hold up the one way. You go below and you hope the C4, right? Pretty obvious stuff. Falcons just trying to approach that horizontally, putting just nigh pressure over towards the basement part. Just none. Puzzling. You always want to have somebody down there creating a bit of chaos, pushing in through construction, in through blue. Don't allow them to C4. Just none of that happened. You know, it was just very bog standard, kind of mindless pushing in from Falcons, and they paid the price for it. So 2-2 is how it goes. Fnatic still, I feel, need to get the next 2 rounds. I think Consulate, it's the defender side of the map. It's tough attacking it, because if one thing goes wrong, it just kind of snowballs almost. That's the way that this map plays out a lot of the time. So yeah, you expect to see the defense perform really well here. Fnatic need these 2 rounds if they want to have a chance at, I'm not even just take the win, but at least maybe try and go for 3 points, which Fnatic are desperate just for anything on the board at the moment.
Well, Jack chose his steps very particularly. And you could see Shaiko wasn't that far away from the engagement, but EFAC once again trying to slip in on the back, maybe get a bit of a direct attention, draw some of the players back in and hope that they can punish them in the mix. It seems somebody took the bait, Wizard. Fortunately still lost in the reads, but Sarks is not. Repeatedly making sure that a body is found on the opponents. That's half of the hard breach gone. They still obviously have the thermite, but the choices are a bit more limited at this point. And now,
EFAC.
Oh, the timing. As EFAC pulls away, he makes sure they know that he's here. The calls come out and the players, well, at least one of them slipped on by a C4 and a grenade used. Nothing more than the threat of a threat, but it's allowed this Falcons to step in. They haven't seemingly done a huge amount on the vertical. They don't need to, because the horizontal is all for EFAC.
Flip it and ship it. Honestly, this guy at the moment, untouchable. Just lurking in the shadows, and I don't get why Fnatic are challenging him. Like, probably, mate, you can't find any kills. Why are we trying to challenge EFAC in those angles? It makes no sense. And yeah, Fnatic just toss it away for one single man by himself who really wasn't causing many issues. He was just the guy at the back. Why they're challenging into him, I don't know. And Falcons see that opportunity to say, let's flub the site now. EFAC has done his job. Now Jegs, the 1v4, not even going to get one. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, EFAC, we mentioned before about this guy and how good he is just on that kind of lurk.
Yep.
Proving it again.
I mean, it's that sort of position that he can get into, right? Obviously, a loud voice for the team, as his role requires him to be. But also, you often forget just that sometimes he will pick up a round and take it on his back. And even amongst the team, as brilliant as Falcons is, that he can be known for doing that just sort of shows the caliber of him. Because obviously there was the attempt, the run out came from the sort of bottom angle off towards Shaiko's side, and he used that as an opportunity to get this, the first, the mirror. Just on for an explore demo, just out to see what is happening. In the meantime, you know, they knew that there was pressure on the door. A C4 and a grenade both thrown, pulled back, reloaded, stepped in position, and just killed 2 of them from the same sliver. And it's just, you know, give him an inch and he'll steal around. 3-2,
10 seconds
and we
left.
are back up towards the top floor, the site that
5
Falcons
seconds
have
remaining.
rocked pretty comfortably both times, Demo.
Yeah.
Slightly different lineup. No Candelas, no Bling, Blitz, and Ying. No
they've
Bling.
got some chains, maybe.
They got some chains, they got some style, they got some gold.
Look at Shaiko's operator. This is just, you know,
classic.
spells terror, doesn't it?
Oh, it is.
This guy and the Nomad.
It's just, you know.
I don't know if you've seen it, but they did some content with him, Falcons did, where it was like he blind ranks operators. Don't know if anyone's seen the video. It's unbelievable. Really, he just doesn't say any words, by the way. He doesn't speak. He just looks at an operator, puts it where it is. And you see that Nomad came up and his eyes lit up. There's just something about that operator. He just loves it, you know? Go and watch it. It's brilliant. He says something in French. I don't have a clue what he's saying. I don't speak French. But yeah, class video. Definitely watch it if you have the time.
Oh, EFAC! Oh, EFAC!
Oh, this guy!
Activating override.
Just shouldn't be allowed, but also should it be possible? That's that sort of skill, the caliber. And now, as he's gone from 3-3 to 8-3 over 2 rounds, he might not have a lot of blood left in his body, but he's got a fire in his heart.
Heart reaching!
And the admin take is coming together for the first time instead of top yellow. They're getting the pressure on towards Long Desk. They know the players here and they're in a position to try and trade things out, but they're in no rush, Demo. They can take their pace, set the Sense Gadget for roll and keep that vertical locked in because there's no C4. There's nothing that can try and stop this outside of Deepak on those smokes, but they're probably hoping that he swings. There's EFAC getting another in the distance because you know he's operating and acting. Wizard gets users. Takes on to one, but has to get out of there as the calls, the cacophony of noise, and all of the flashes and blinds are making things tricky and sticky. Deepak did get a smoke out, but as I said, as soon as he did, he was full of bullets. Wizard stepped in. There goes Deepak to Solotov. And at this point, as Bride goes for the plant and Wizard is stuck in a box. Just brutal.
That guy's a freak. That guy. Honestly.
Complimentary. In case anything is lost in translation. They're build diff. It's brilliant.
Absolutely nuts.
You know. But it's the caliber of the player, the caliber of the team, right? It's 4-2. Falcons. They set themselves up with 4 attacks here, and Fnatic, they have a hard job ahead of them. They have a high preference for this map, but the faces don't show excitement, Demo.
No, they don't, which is always a bit of a worry. And like I mentioned, they're now having to go on the attacking side, which obviously on a map like Consulate, we know it's difficult. Maybe Falcons didn't show that, but it's supposed to be difficult for the attackers. So we're gonna need a big hand from Fnatic. But Falcons at the moment, they're floating.
How many bullets did he have left?
EFAC is.
How many bullets did he have left in the SMG when he went for the second kill?
Well, VAR for you.
Because it ends on 0.
Yeah, he's 0. Yeah, 0. He had 12 bullets left to kill the second guy.
12 bullets.
Yeah.
Okay. Still. Okay. Uphill, but not impossible, as we think. There was a graphic with Atlas before, and sometimes you have to try and live in that image. Or at this point, you know, you can find yourself, unfortunately, more Sisyphus and continually going uphill. Shaiko wants to find a friend outside after he was almost found once upon a time. Has a narrow angle here, but well, will he be off the engagement? Wizard is cautious of a different window, so you assume he'll at least be cautious of this approach, and he really wants it to happen though.
Be careful now, Wizard. Get the wall open. You have to put yourself in any danger. You are the hard breacher. We'll make an entrance way now, but impact. The miss. Oh, it connected, I think, did it? Yeah, it did. Okay, so the Habana pellets have been dealt with by that impact, and doesn't know if he wants to try again, as Rene's rotated back up into Secret, but Cade Claw's not there. Enough for Fnatic, they're just getting battle back. They're trying to just do basic stuff, but Falcons are just trying to deny that altogether. Sarks, though, with the opening pick as he walks in through main door, eliminates Solitod, but there's still more to hunt. There's still more roamers to find, and EFAC, of course, being one of them, up on the Melusi.
And end you.
But Fnatic is just very slow and steady. They're not trying to give anything at all away to Falcons.
As my friend would say, time to ring some
Well,
ears.
they're still working on the breach and still working on getting their route through on towards Secret with a juggling of utility. Solitov is obviously gone, but work is slow, unfortunately, and that's the sort of difference, right? You compare the approach of the rounds, and it's a much more let's hit objective, let's hit strategy, let's hit some of what needs to be done, but the garage wall is still fully reinforced. EFAC is more than happy to find a fight, and Grooby's dead. That's your buck gone. That's Grooby 0-7, and that is all that's soft now for Sarks to do. With 1:10, they get the breach open, at least. So they're still making progress on the soft, which leads to this, the death of EFAC, brought on by Wizard, tracked and dropped on the back end, a 4 versus 3 with 50 seconds, and a lot of the work done. It's not impossible, but it just takes one thing to go wrong here, and suddenly you're scrambling a bit.
As time is ticking away at the moment, but right now the win con for Fnatic, it is probably just going to be the bit of utility they have left. They've still got 3 nades, they've got 2 flashbangs. If they can just flash and push and take the trades, because they have that extra man, don't forget, naturally they're going to be able to win. And here comes the Damon's track. Surely the flashbang and nade will follow to root him out. Our guns up. Is it going to be enough for Falcons? Oh, a dash from Sarks.
Dash in, Shaiko and Shaiko! Jex does stop the run, but Usus puts it into a 1 versus 1, and suddenly all hot pinged is Usus! And I mean, it came down to a 1 versus 1, but it just seemed Falcons are hungry for engagements. They're hungry to keep stepping in, getting the opposition and just sort of throwing them in front of themselves and saying, look, we're going to beat you in a gunfight.
Yeah.
And which means that Fnatic have double the work to do, because they have to do that as well. They have to have the confidence to take this gunfight against them on their day, but then they also still have to do all of the site destruction to give them the opportunity to stop this happening. All hot pinged. A horrible place for Deepak to be in there, because you know the pressure's going to come on.
Yeah. And you actually look at, kind of what was kind of doing the job. It was a default cam. That's what was pinging them, by the way. Just a simple default cam, which it's a bit insane, isn't it? A default cam basically wins that 1v1 for users.
Yeah. Not good.
5 seconds to go.
That's your basement. You still have to go upstairs. This is a tough bomb site as well. It doesn't get anything. It doesn't get easier. Sometimes we sit there and think, oh, it's fine. That's the tough bomb site out of the way. Now you can go to an easier bomb site for the attacks. No. I would say top floor is probably more difficult than basement. Because I always feel as though, I always feel as though getting into the top floor is so difficult on attack. Because you have to swing in 3 windows, and we know what that's like.
I think it bears sort of similarities in some way to how some teams will approach it, like teams approach Cafe, where you have to work
exactly.
externally, and you have to sort of lean into the map. You can't just get a base of operations and go, right, let's start working down. It's this. And this is scary, because this goes wrong very quickly. Breach is open, and now they'll throw out the drone and get it all pinged as on the reveal of what is underneath. The chance at a swing is still going to come towards them, but Sarks, though damaged, isn't defeated.
Flash may cause them issues. All they have is really the nades. Pull it off.
Cause them issues.
Takes out Jegs, and that also takes out some of the nades that I mentioned. You've even got the deployable shield in a pretty default position also. So again, more nades is going to have to be used. Speaking of, will roll in, but EFAC does have legs. He can easily walk back into the safety of the bomb site and set up that shield, looking to hold on to the staircase.
Okay, they have 1 nade to now try and clear out the vending long position. and a Clash that is just happy to run into Coffin. There's a Kiba in front of it as well. They have no utility other than just sending it for a fight on a grenade and a flash here. They cannot make this approach stick. There's the C4 to connect, and there's the body. They just tried to strong-arm their way through because it was the start of the approach, but I think with what they had left, they just did not have enough. The roll of the Stance Gadget is instantly met by a Clash and an Impact and a Shaiko. So, Demo, what do you do?
He's smiling. Oh, he's smiling, it's over.
That's just over.
Nah, that's it. If he's smiling, death is near. I'll tell you that for free.
That's where it started.
Oh.
With that damn smile.
That guy as well. Terrifying. I mean, mentioned about EFAC, Shaiko himself just picking up kills where he can. You know, doing what he does best, but that team's scary. Scary team. Honestly, the top of the table teams I think have been great. You know, I think VP, G2, Secret, Falcons. Honestly, really good stuff. I'm impressed with, in my opinion, the top 4 of the stage. Looking good. However, up against Brazil, which we have to beat this year, different story.
It's always the context of Europe, because I don't want to lure myself into another false sense of security where I'm like, yeah, this one's ours.
Location of a bomb.
They had 3 chances and they couldn't win 1. They couldn't win
England
1.
in the World Cup again.
Ah.
We look brilliant.
10
Oh,
seconds
we've
left before
lost.
insertion.
And
Gonna end up, this is our golden generation and not win anything. That's what it's gonna be like.
This is our golden generation again. No, it's 6-2 here, and Fnatic, I mean, didn't even take the time out. Unless I'm mistaken, they took it earlier on and the heat has blown it from my mind.
No, they haven't taken it yet, no.
I think that's a sort of statement in some way of we know how this is going to go. Which is rough in some ways. Usually the team is very communicative, making up words like Leo does, with their dramatologically conversations or whatever it was he said earlier. But here it feels like they're just a bit going through the motions more than anything, which shouldn't really be the case on your preferred map or on your sort of favorite map. But at the same time, you know, okay, I was going to say at the same time you're up against Falcons, one of the best teams in the world, undisputed.
Yep.
But even then, you've got to have the fight because that's who you want to beat more than anybody.
Of course, this has been the team with the target on their back for the past year. You know, especially in terms of Europe context. This is the team that everyone should be chasing. Some teams have done that. Some teams haven't. And you know, that's okay, because that's how top teams, you know, present themselves. Is if you can take down the big dog, which in this league is going to be Falcons. Now, Fnatic, up against the tertiary bomb site. I mentioned before, usually this is the bomb site you should be winning on the attack if all things don't go wrong. But again, this guy just ratting about, this time on another signature on him is the Solar Shotgun. This guy was playing this operator earlier than a lot of other people. I remember him so vividly on Consulate in this very map where he was playing the Solus on this site and was just putting in work. So yeah, really, I just think EFAC just rolling back the years almost with his top highlights, ratting about on Nook, playing the Solar Shotgun. Great to see.
At this point, maybe Groovy's tracking him so he can avoid the Soulless and sort of say no one go near him. They get the kill, obviously, the trade out. Solotov's gone on the side of the Mozzie, but the buff to the... Oh, okay. And then now you lose the ace, and now you lose the Deimos. Leaves a Sledge, a Brava, the half a Brava, but at least the dead Shaiko. You're about to find a Solace, and it's a trade out there, and that's the best they could get. Sarks, all the pressure on them, and they have been the light in the sort of darkness, climbing and clambering through the cave of Falcons, but Usus has also been a 1 versus X winner earlier on today, and now we have a 20-second dance with a man with a goo in his foot. To take that out, that has to make a straight approach. He can expect where it is, and he covers it with smoke brilliantly, but there's another goo mine, another reveal. Pulls it out, because he's either got to time it or he's got to plant it, and he's going to go right by the opener as the rotate comes round. 4 seconds. Oh, and wow. User still wins it out against the smoke. All audio. But I think the only audio that we can hear today is Falcons, 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 because the fans demo, they're going to be hollering.